When was the last time you bit into a supermarket apple, chewed through a skin that felt like dental dam, and realized the inside tasted of absolutely nothing? You're stood in the fruit aisle at Tesco or Sainsbury's, picking up a pack of glossy, perfect-looking fruit, thinking you're making a healthy, crisp choice for lunch. Instead, you get home, take a bite, and it's like chewing sweetened cardboard that's been soaked in rainwater. You probably blamed yourself, thought maybe it was just a bad batch, or that your taste buds were off that day. It isn't you. You've been systematically conned by a multi-billion-pound global supply chain that treats food like plastic injection molding. By the time we're done today, you will know exactly why the UK fresh produce sector is pulling the wool over your eyes, how to spot an industrial zombie fruit in seconds. And we will break down the specific varieties designed for shipping containers rather than human mouths. Stick around until the final block, because the absolute biggest scam in the entire British supermarket system is sitting right at the bottom of the bestseller list, and it's one you almost certainly bought this week. To understand why your fruit bowl is filled with disappointment, we need to lift the lid on how a modern commercial apple is actually constructed and preserved. In an ideal world, an apple ripens on a tree, develops complex sugars and volatile aromatic compounds, gets picked, and goes to a shop. But in the modern supermarket ecosystem, that model is dead. Today's commercial varieties are bred for three things: cosmetic uniformity, resistance to bruising, and structural immortality. The industry has effectively crossbred the soul out of the fruit to make it survive a logistics gauntlet. If an apple has a complex, stunning flavor, it usually has a delicate skin and uneven ripening windows. To a corporate grower supplying thousands of UK stores, that isn't food, it's a financial liability. The industry's ultimate magic trick to keep this illusion alive is called Smart Fresh, combined with controlled atmosphere storage. Imagine a massive airtight warehouse where they drop the oxygen levels to near zero, pump in 1-methyl-cyclopropene gas to chemically block the fruit's ripening receptors, and lower the temperature to just above freezing. This effectively puts the apple into a state of suspended animation. It completely stops the decomposition process, but it also permanently breaks down the volatile compounds responsible for aroma and depth of flavor. An apple harvested in South Africa or Kent 14 months ago can sit in a dark vault, get trucked to an Asda distribution center, sit under fluorescent lights, and look like it was picked yesterday. It's a botanical zombie. Then there's the post-harvest cosmetic polish. When apples are washed commercially, their natural protective wax layer is stripped away. To fix this and make them pop on the shelves under those bright supermarket bulbs, packers coat them in shellac or carnauba wax. It's the exact same stuff used to polish your car's dashboard or shine a leather shoe. It's entirely legal, highly effective for preventing moisture loss, and utterly useless for flavor. The industry grades these fruits entirely on skin blemish, color saturation, and shape symmetry. Flavor is not part of the legal grading system in British supermarkets. Sugar content is rarely measured for standard packs, and acidity balance is completely ignored. A fruit can be ancient, structurally mealy, and chemically hollow, but as long as it looks like a Disney prop, it gets slapped with a premium grade and a matching price tag. You are paying for a chemical preservation miracle, not a piece of fruit. Let's start our skip list with the 6 varieties you should walk right past next time you're pushing a trolley around the produce aisle. First up is the absolute titan of disappointment, the Red Delicious. If you went to school in the UK anytime over the last 30 years, this is the apple that probably ruined fruit for you during packed lunches. Originally discovered back in the 19th century as a genuinely sweet fruit, it became the victim of decades of aggressive corporate breeding. Growers realized that consumers buy with their eyes, so they bred it exclusively for an intense, uniform, deep crimson color and that classic 5-pointed bottom. By doing that, they accidentally engineered out every single molecule of flavour. Walk into any major British supermarket today, and you'll see them sold in cheap multi-packs or sitting unwanted in bulk bins. The skin is as thick and bitter as leather, designed solely to survive global shipping routes without a scratch, while the interior texturally resembles wet cotton wool or damp sawdust. It has zero acidity, zero aromatic depth, and a flavour profile that can only be described as vaguely sweet water. It's not food, it's a prop designed for a photography studio that somehow ended up on a shelf in Morrison's. If you already feel like checking your own kitchen cupboard to see what rubbish you've been buying, smash that subscribe button right now, because the industrial deception only gets deeper from here. Next on the chopping block is Gala. This is currently the single best-selling apple across the entire UK, dominating the shelves from Aldi to Waitrose, and that should genuinely worry you. Originally bred in New Zealand, British supermarkets fell head over heels for it because of its early harvest window and incredibly consistent, unblemished skin. On the packaging, the marketing teams love to describe it as sweet and mild. In the agricultural industry, mild is just a legal, polite code word for completely bland. Gala apples have an incredibly low acidity level, meaning there is absolutely nothing structurally present in the fruit to balance out the sugar content. What you get is a flat, one-dimensional sweetness that vanishes from your tongue the second you swallow. Because it is the absolute workhorse of the supermarket supply chain, the Gala you are buying in May or June has almost certainly spent half a year trapped in a gas-filled, oxygen-depleted warehouse. Whatever minor character or refreshing crispness it possessed at harvest has been totally suffocated by the time it reaches your basket. You are paying a premium price for a ubiquitous brand name and a pretty blush pattern, not for real culinary value. Then we have the Fuji. Originally developed in Japan, this variety is heavily marketed as the ultimate super sweet option, and technically speaking, the sugar metrics back that up. It boasts one of the highest sugar concentrations of any commercial variety on the high street. However, sweetness without a corresponding hit of acidity is like turning up the volume on a stereo when the speakers have no bass. It's incredibly loud but completely hollow. The Fuji possesses an incredibly thick skin and a dense, woody flesh that makes it the absolute darling of logistics companies. It is virtually indestructible. A Fuji can sit inside a controlled atmosphere storage facility for up to 12 full months, cross an ocean on a cargo ship, sit on an Asda shelf for 2 weeks, and still feel completely rock solid when you squeeze it. But do not confuse structural firmness with freshness. By the time you bite into it, the delicate aromatic compounds that create actual flavor depth are ancient history. The industry worships the Fuji because it doesn't rot on a truck, but your taste buds are paying the direct tax for that industrial resilience. Now let's talk about the Macintosh, or rather, the modern supermarket ghost of it. This one hurts because a fresh Macintosh picked from an orchard in the autumn is a truly spectacular piece of fruit, famous for its bright, tart, deeply aromatic profile. The tragic flaw of the Macintosh is its utter lack of physical durability. It is a fragile, thin-skinned variety that goes from perfectly crisp to terribly mealy within a matter of days after leaving cold storage. The bruised, rubbery versions you find sitting in a Sainsbury's local or a co-op convenience store in the middle of winter are a complete insult to the variety's heritage. The corporate supply chain demands structural compliance, and because the Macintosh refuses to play ball, it gets beaten up, gassed, and delivered to the consumer as a soft, bruised, structural catastrophe. It was never designed to survive a modern distribution network, and forcing it into one turns it into absolute rubbish. Our fifth offender is the Golden Delicious. Despite sharing half a name with the Red Delicious, they aren't actually related, but they do share a commitment to disappointing the British public. For decades, it has been pushed as the ultimate, sweet, mellow, all-purpose kitchen staple. The reality behind the scenes is that the Golden Delicious has skin so thin it will bruise if you look at it too hard. To stop this from ruining profits, commercial growers pick the fruit when it is completely, aggressively underripe so it can survive being packed into crates. An underripe apple has never had the chance to develop its natural sugars or its complex aromatic oils on the tree. What lands on the shelves at your local Tesco is a pale, yellow-green, rubbery tragedy with skin that wrinkles like an old boot after 24 hours in your kitchen. The industry doesn't actually value it as an eating fruit anymore. They use it as cheap genetic material to crossbreed into other varieties because it inherits high yields. It's a cash crop for farmers, not a treat for your family. Finally, we have the Granny Smith. This iconic green fruit has been marketed for generations as the quintessential tart, crisp baking apple. But let's be entirely honest, tartness without a baseline of sweetness is just offensive sourness. To maximize shelf life and ensure that bright neon green color stays uniform, commercial operations harvest Granny Smiths far too early, which artificially spikes the chemical acidity while completely halting any sugar development. After months trapped in commercial storage vats, the flesh develops a bizarre, waxy, almost soapy mouthfeel that leaves a film on the inside of your mouth. The Granny Smith survives grueling global shipping routes from the Southern Hemisphere to the UK that would turn any high-quality fruit into mush. That structural endurance is its only actual job. Tasting good was never part of the corporate brief, and the fact that it sits proudly in every British supermarket is proof that we've been trained to accept cosmetic perfection over actual flavour. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We've thoroughly trashed the plastic imposters clogging up the supermarket shelves, so it's only fair we reveal the varieties that prove an apple can still be grown for your mouth, rather than an international shipping container. These are the selections that have managed to escape the race to the absolute bottom of food quality, delivering genuine character, complex sugars, and an actual structural crunch. They are easily accessible in British shops, meaning you don't have to visit an independent farm boutique or an eccentric orchard hidden deep in the Somerset countryside to find them. They are sitting right there in front of you on your regular high street run. First on our recommended list is the Honeycrisp, which you will typically see branded as Honey Crunch on the shelves of Asda or Sainsbury's. This variety was developed with one unapologetic, fierce priority: pure eating quality. The cellular biology inside a Honeycrisp is fundamentally different to almost every industrial clone we dismantled earlier. Its cells are significantly larger, which means that when your teeth break through the skin, the cells literally explode with juice. No other everyday budget choice on the shelf replicates that sensation. But the real triumph here is the exquisite balance of sugar and acid working in tandem. It provides an immediate hit of clean sweetness on the front of the bite, followed by a crisp, refreshing, tart finish. In terms of price, a 4-pack generally sits around the £2 mark, which works out to about 50 pence per fruit. Yes, it is slightly more expensive than a bag of basic bruised utility apples, and it does possess a more delicate structure that requires careful handling in your shopping bag. But every single penny of that marginal markup goes directly into actual flavor development. Food technicians widely regard it as the variety that forced corporate supermarkets to realize consumers would pay a fraction more for an apple that doesn't taste like damp paper. If you only pick up one alternative option from this video to rescue your family fruit bowl, make it this one. Our second recommendation is the Cosmic Crisp, which has recently taken the premium tiers of Morrison's, Ocado, and Waitrose completely by storm. This is the result of 20 years of exhaustive crossbreeding with a very specific modern mandate: achieve elite flavor profile and structural durability at the exact same time. It absolutely delivers on that dual promise. The Cosmic Crisp treats you to high Brix sugar levels, balanced by a robust, refreshing acidity, all wrapped up in a dense, shattering bite. The real magic, though, is that its incredible structural integrity allows it to hold that phenomenal flavor for months, without the rapid taste degradation that completely ruins varieties like the Gala or the Fuji. You can spot it instantly by the distinctive starburst pattern across its dark crimson skin. A pack of 4 will usually cost you between £2.15 and £2.80. Let's be totally honest about the downside. It is a premium product, and you aren't going to find it sitting in a budget multi-pack bag. But when you break it down to roughly 65 to 70 pence per serving, the price difference is completely justified because you are actually consuming a masterclass in modern agricultural engineering that works for your stomach, not just for a distributor's warehouse spreadsheet. Finally, we have a homegrown British treasure that shines above the rest during its specific season: the Jazz apple. Developed as a cross between the Braeburn and the Gala, and grown extensively across Kent orchards, the Jazz is an absolute masterclass in flavour depth. The experience of biting into a proper Jazz apple is unlike anything else in the fresh produce aisle. You get an incredibly intense, rich, honeyed sweetness up front, which immediately transitions into a sharp, vibrant, citrus-like tang on the finish. It's almost like a mandarin orange note layered directly over a spectacular structural snap. The texture is notoriously dense and crisp, meaning it rarely suffers from that soft, woolly texture that plagues cheaper fruit. It is widely available across Tesco, Morrison's, and M&S. The catch here is that because it is a tightly managed club variety, the production standards are kept exceptionally high, meaning you won't get a bad batch, but you will pay a small premium for that consistency. It is also a fruit that thrives on seasonality, tasting its absolute best when the British crop hits the shelves. These are the 3 options that prove you do not have to accept the flavourless, chemically preserved zombies the food industry tries to force onto your plate. You have options that respect your taste buds, your health, and your hard-earned cash. To make sure you never get ripped off by a zombie apple again, here are 6 concrete rules you need to follow next time you are standing in the fruit aisle at Tesco or Lidl. First, always perform the physical snap test by holding the fruit right up to your ear and giving it a gentle squeeze or a sharp, solid tap with your thumb. A fresh, high-quality piece of fruit will resonate with a clean, structural snap, whereas a mealy imposter that has been rotting away inside a gassed warehouse will produce a dull, muffled thud. Second, always execute the blossom aroma test by flipping the fruit completely over and smelling the small indentation right at the very bottom. A genuinely fresh variety will hit you with a noticeable floral, sweet, or honeyed scent. But an industrial clone that has been chemically preserved for 10 months will smell of absolutely nothing except supermarket cardboard and industrial carnauba wax. Third, you must closely inspect the country of origin printed clearly on the front of the plastic pack or the display shelf edge label. If you are standing in a British supermarket in October and the packaging proudly states the fruit was flown in all the way from South Africa or New Zealand, you are looking at an aged botanical relic that has been sitting in a shipping container for months on end. Fourth, treat the words mild and delicate on supermarket packaging as an immediate red flag. These corporate descriptions are nothing more than clever marketing euphemisms for entirely flavourless, watered-down rubbish that lacks the natural acidity needed to satisfy your palate. Fifth, do not buy into the cosmetic trap of the high-gloss shine that makes fruit gleam under bright supermarket strip lighting. That mirror finish is just an artificial layer of shellac or carnauba wax, applied to hide skin imperfections and lock in moisture, having absolutely zero correlation with how good the fruit will taste when you get home. Sixth, look for the official Red Tractor logo or Leaf Mark certifications on the packaging to ensure you are buying seasonal British-grown crops that haven't been subjected to hyper-extended global transit windows. Ultimately, the entire commercial fruit ecosystem is built on a massive foundation of consumer ignorance, prioritizing corporate logistics, stackable durability, and visual perfection over the one single metric that should actually matter to you: flavor. The multi-billion-pound supermarket chains continue to fill their shelves with tasteless, rubbery clones because we, as British consumers, keep mindlessly tossing them into our trolleys week after week. It is time to stop subsidizing the cost-cutting efficiency of global transport networks with your weekly grocery budget and start demanding real food that tastes exactly the way nature intended. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time watching this investigation all the way to the end. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, please share this video with a